But the communication is breaking. I wouldn't go into the service area where you have it from helping the communication. So I will appreciate if you can call back. Okay, I will. All right, thank you, sorry. So 0906476647. We are talking about expectations today. Yeah.
free, transparent, and of course, it's a possibility. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you have the ability, and you need to get trained. And that is why this particular program is here for you. Thank you for joining right now. Please tell others, very important, tell others who are here to do so, to take away right now. It's very, very important. You can't afford to miss this. Tell everyone, your friends, that person you know will actually find this beneficial. That small business owner, the government is very, very interested in the growth of your business. And this is actually one of the ways in which the administration of His Excellency Prince Dapo Abiodun is actually showing it, walking the talk, showing that indeed it's about business. And it's not business in the way it used to be. It's business in an unusual way. Let me quickly tell us that my name is Olawale Oshumbi, and of course, I'm honored to be part of this particular training, to moderate this particular training. In a matter of minutes, let us assure you, we'll be starting the program. So please, like I said earlier on, it's very important. Let's reinforce it. You need to get right now online and of course, register with your name. We will be happy seeing the names of our phones, whichever phone the brand name is. I don't want to promote any brand right here, but or your devices, we don't want to see your devices. We want you to register with your name because there will be a follow-up. We'll follow it up, follow the training up. We want you to get better. We are deliberate about it. We are systematic about it. And of course, we mean business. Thank you so much. So very soon, you get to hear my voice again as we start very, very soon. I assure you.
Sorry, moderator.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so is that the link that was shared by my chair lady? That if you click on the link, you can put in your name, your company name, and all that. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yes, exactly. That's the link.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
My name is Olufunso Ogunade, Chief Operating Officer, Media House Global.
So we talk about 5%. I get liposuction.
Is there anything happening, or is it the network? I can't hear anyone speaking.
I want to believe it's the network.
All right. So what are we doing? What are we doing?
Well, participants, we're sorry for keeping you waiting. Let us assure you, we'll soon be starting the training. We want to make sure everything is actually in order and everyone is working assiduously to ensure that we achieve that particular objective. Let me also inform us that pertaining to what we're trying to tell us to do concerning registering with our names, when you try to log in, something will, the system will indicate the name of your device. So you have the responsibility of changing that name of your device to your name. So when you change the name of your device to your name, it means you've been able to do the right thing, which you're supposed to do, because we want to know that indeed we're communicating to the right people. And like I emphasized all the time, it's not just about today's training, it's also about the follow-up that the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, in collaboration with Ministry of Budget and Planning, will be doing, because we know it's very important to follow up. So please endeavor to change that particular device name into your name. And when you do that, it means we will be able to, we will be able to reach you. You also need to visit the chat room. I've been hearing a lot of and talking about your name. What we need you to do right now is you get into the chat room, and when you get into the chat room, you'll join and of course register appropriately. Now, we are relating with you, and of course, it's not the device that matters. It is actually you as a person. So when we want to reach out to you, your name, and of course, those details you put there will make it easy for the ministry to get across to you. Because we know it's not just about you coming around and getting trained alone today, it's also about the follow-up. We mean business, and this is not business as usual.
My name is Olufun Ogun, Chief Operating Officer, Media House Global Ventures.
That is why I say I
Um, my name is Olanyika Kazim. Procurement Farm Enterprises, E4.
Okay. Well, actually, I'm coming right here now to inform us. I've been hearing people talking about their names and of course the organization they represent. We're happy to have you on this platform, but we need to inform you that when you get to the chat room, indicate those details there, because by doing so, it will actually help us to get across to you right after the training. It's very important. Please, let's do that. It will help us. Beyond this training, it will also help us to help you as well. Welcome to the third batch of the one-day webinar training on the guidelines to increase the SME's participation in public procurement and contracts awarded by Ogun State government. And of course, it's actually the third batch. We've had the first batch, we've had the second batch. We'll start straight away. We'll take the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, after which we'll take the state anthem, Isheya, but first, the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let's rise. We'll now take the state anthem, Isheya. We welcome all of us. We can now have a seat. We welcome all of us to the third batch of the one-day webinar training, which is actually on the guidelines to increase the SMEs participation in public procurement contracts awarded by Ogun State government. From what I said earlier on, it's the third batch, meaning we'll have the first and of course the second batch. The first batch we had on Thursday, 17th September, year 2020. And of course, the second one held last week, Friday, 25th of September, 2020. It's all about the dawn of a new era in Ogun State. It's an era of economic inclusiveness. And that is why the Prince Dakwa Abiodun-led administration is walking this talk in line with the Building Our Future Together agenda. And we're happy about it. And that is why this training is held. It's organized by the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment in collaboration with the Ministry of Budget and Planning. Today, as always, promises to be really, really inciting and of course, wonderful, educating, revealing, and of course, it promises that you get to know so many things which you do not really know about before. Because right now, the government in power, the government of Prince Dakwa Abiodun MFR is saying SMEs are very important. They are very important to any economy if at all that economy will boom. And that is what this government is trying to do. And it's not just doing it, it's making it really happen in the right way. Practical sessions helping everyone know that yes, indeed, they have a fair chance. They have a transparent chance. They have the opportunity to also make it really big. And we are glad about it. Right, of course, let us quickly tell us that in the course of the program, we'll be having the opening remarks said by the Honorable Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Kikelomo Lunge. She's actually a proven investment expert with over 30 years experience. And of course, while she was in the private sector, she attracted over $1.2 billion as, of course, equity funding. And it's actually that particular level of performance that has inspired the administration of Prince Dakwa Abiodun to bring her on board. And of course, it promises to be wonderful. As well, we like to inform us that there will be two sessions. The first session where people will be trained, participants will be trained on guidelines to increase SMEs participation in contracts awarded by Ogun State government. We have a facilitator already here, Engineer Kayode, Engineer Kende Akintomide will be available. And let us also inform us that it's not just about the training alone. You also have the opportunity of asking questions. And be rest assured, we have competent hands to answer those questions. The second training session as well is on Ogun State Public Procurement Law Guidelines. And there'll also be question and answer segments right in the course of that particular session. We are honored to also have a very reputable and of course intelligent commissioner as well with us. We have the Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Planning. He will also be he's also part of this particular training. So straight away, let's quickly tell us that we'll be going for the opening remarks. The opening remarks will be said by the Honorable Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Kikelomo Lunge. Yes, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Wale. Good morning, the Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Planning, Ogun State Government, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Budget and Planning, Special Advisors, Special Assistants, and all representatives of Ogun State Government present. I welcome you all to this third batch of virtual training being organized by the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment in collaboration with the Ministry of Budget and Planning to enlighten our entrepreneurs on guidelines for increasing SME participation in public procurement and contracts awarded by the state government. All our entrepreneurial public on procedures and guidelines for bidding, procurement, and contract. I ask the host to please mute everybody else. I think we have some noise in the background. Host, please mute all and then mute my device. Yes. Thank you. We organize these training sessions to further enroll the entrepreneurial public on procedures and guidelines for. We understand that it comes to government contract awards. We have also observed that most SMEs are not aware of the basic principles of procurement bidding, and this has been the bane of their relegation in the procurement procedures. All identified gaps will be addressed at these training sessions at all levels. Worldwide, SMEs are a major driver of any country's economy. The subsector occupies a great part of the employ about 65% of the labor force, just as they also contribute, in the case of Nigeria, almost 70% of the national GDP, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. For the purpose of SMEs inclusion in public procurement procedures, we are using the employment-based classification for medium enterprises. Therefore, SMEs for this purpose are defined as those enterprises employing less than 200 workers. The state government is making efforts to strengthen this subsector by promoting economic inclusiveness, broadening competitiveness, and flexibility of the economy in line with global best practice by encouraging SMEs participation in government contract awards. Our hope for this virtual training session is that potential bidders will get more exposure to the procedures required to bid and win public procurements and contracts. We will endeavor to continue to work on capacity building, especially to help our SMEs understand the Ogun State Government Public Procurement Act, and also we encourage entrepreneurs to acquaint themselves with these guidelines. I enjoin you all to pay attention, ask key questions, and we will provide responses accordingly. Also, entrepreneurs who may have further questions may wish to contact the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment at the State Secretariat, Okemoson, Abeokuta, for further inquiries. I wish you all fruitful deliberations. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Honorable State Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Kikela Molunge. Yes, ma. We appreciate your speech. We appreciate your address. Very, very clear that this government is about SMEs. And we implore SMEs to take this particular opportunity really, really serious. And that is why the ministry is right here for every SME in Ogun State. And quickly, I'd like to also, before we go into the next agenda on the program, I'd like to inform us that we've seen a lot of participants thus far, but we'll be happy also if we also comply with that particular instruction, which we had given earlier, that we need to register with our names. Please register with your name, indicate your association, and of course, go to the chat room. When you get to the chat room, you give your details, because we mean business. We want to follow up right after the training. And how we can follow up is when you give us your details. It's very, very, very important. And I'd like to also tell us that we expect, before the program is over, Mr. Olaolu Olabinto, the Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Planning, will also definitely be making a speech as well. It's been wonderful speaking during the course of this program, all throughout the first batch and of course the second batch. And this third batch promises to also be really, really interesting. We also must recognize the presence of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mr. Olu Ola Aikulola, and as well, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Budget and Planning, Mrs. Olufumilayo Dada. There's a wonderful people who have synergized to make sure this training is a success. And we recognize as well the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Industry, Trade and Investment, Ms. Shola Arobieke. So quickly, let's do as we've been told to do. Let's register. Let's also get into the chat room so that we can really help ourselves much more better. And right now, straight away, I've been told that the first session for the day will actually be taking place in a matter of seconds from now. The topic is guidelines to increase SMEs participation in contract awarded by Ogun State government. It's actually handled by Engineer Kende Akintomide. So please be rest assured. You've got questions? Don't worry. Put your questions down and of course, put it together, because there will be an opportunity for you to ask your questions and you'll get answers. So quickly, we call on Engineer Kende Akintomide for the first training session, which is actually for 40 minutes. 40 minutes.
Thank you, Wale. Good morning, everybody on the platform today. It's a pleasure being here. Let me seize this opportunity to appreciate the Honorable Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, the Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Planning, the permanent secretaries of the two agencies, the Senior Special Assistants to the Governor on this platform today. I really appreciate the privilege to anchor this program. I've been saddled with the responsibility to put us through the guidelines to increase SMEs participation in public procurement and contracts awarded by Ogun State government. We'll be going through the presentation briefly. Yes, we have the outline to guide us in the course of the presentation so that we'll know what exactly we are doing and we'll be able to concentrate and follow suit as we do so. Now, this training session is very, very important because of the effort of the state government at ensuring the inclusion of SMEs in public procurement activities in the state. This has a very important role in ensuring that SMEs generally, which constitutes a major part of the economy and of course has great potential for job creation, is being included in public procurement activities in the state. This is a means of easing out the part of the effects of COVID-19 and other economic meltdown effects on businesses across the state. So we'll be going through the definitions. Then again, we'll look at some of the problems or the identified problems to SMEs. Of course, again, we look at the way out, and again, we look at the measures put in place to ensure that SMEs actually participate. Now, why SME? SME because going by the statistics results, we have great contribution from SME in the economy of the state. They create job, they take our youths off the street, and of course, again, they contribute huge to the GDP of the nation and of course, the state in general. So to this effect, it is very, very important to ensure that SMEs are well positioned to take their rightful place. And upon realization of the fact that oftentimes they figure out of this task because they feel that it is for the big sharks. They feel that maybe they are not financially positioned to participate, or maybe they are too small, but the state government is saying, no, you are not, and this is what we want of you. So the state government is trying to put them through, get them to have full understanding of what public procurement is all about so that they are well positioned to take their place. Now, for the purpose of this training, SMEs has been classified or categorized in two ways. Number one is in terms of employment strength. Number two, in terms of financial backing, as in the asset they have. Now for micro, we have the micro that engage less than 3. We have for micro that engage less than 10. We have the small that engage more than 10 but less than 50. And of course, those that fall into the medium categories, those that engage more than 50 but less than 200. So just like it has been said, for the purpose of this training, what we'll be making use of any enterprise or establishment that has less than 200 people on its payroll. The objectives of this guideline. The objectives of this guideline is number one, to ensure that SMEs come to know fully about public procurement. There is no secret in it. The present administration is open and they want to make everything open to everybody. Transparency is the watchword. So because of this, they will deem it feel that, okay, SMEs should know more or should have detailed understanding of what public procurement is all about, and of course, how best to go by it. It's also to engender the implementation of the economic inclusiveness policy of the present administration, to broaden the scope of SMEs subsector of the state, and of course, promote competitiveness and flexibility in line with global best practices. There is an issue with the slide, please. Let me try and resolve this. Now, some barriers has been identified, and of course, it is overcoming the barriers that is that's going to make SMEs to be able to participate in public procurement. Number one barrier is a lack of knowledge or even information about public procurement. Most of our SMEs lack in totality knowledge of bidding, or they lack knowledge of bidding opportunities that are available to them. They really don't know what the MDAs are doing, and oftentimes they don't have the courage to go and ask. So to address this, what the state government has decided to do is to make sure that there is wide publicity on everything that all the MDAs are doing forthwith. They want to make sure that every MDA is taken along. They have full understanding. They have full understanding of all that is happening in all the MDAs. So for this, they are going to engage all platforms for publicity. And again, the business membership organizations will equally be updated from time to time about available opportunities for SMEs to participate. Now, beyond that one, we have poor understanding of the state's public procurement law and, of course, bidding procedures. The public procurement law is a public material. It is open to all. So SMEs should endeavor to get a copy of the public procurement law and read through, have full understanding of it, and should they be having issues, they should seek assistance, help from people that know about it. And of course, that is the essence of this training. The state government is ensuring that they put this training, they make it as regular as possible so that SMEs will have full understanding of what the public procurement law states, and of course, the bidding procedures. Again, oftentimes they think that the value of contracts is maybe too high for them to participate in. So maybe because of the cash flow or average turnover, and to address this, the state government has put in place some measures, part of which is to breaking down of contracts to lots. This way afford SMEs the opportunity to participate in contract bidding. Again, some of the criteria that seems to be cumbersome or too high for them to meet is being looked into so that we come down to the level of SMEs and make sure that most SMEs are qualified to participate. Then we encourage SMEs to come up and participate as joint ventures and or to subcontract such bidding procedures. Again, inadequate information about components of contracts. Most of the time, our SMEs lack adequate information about the components of contracts that are available. So, and how best can they overcome this is to make sure that even when by the time they procure the bidding document, they go through page by page. They pay attention. It's just like trying to cross the T's and dotting the I's. Once you do all that, the procedure is very, very straightforward and simple. Of course, Another one is tight deadlines. Oftentimes, SMEs are not well prepared to position themselves to take advantage as they come. So by the time they start running around, because they are not prepared for it, they tend to miss out on most contracts. But now we are saying that you need to prepare ahead, get all the necessary documents to make up your bid available, readily available, so that at your fingertip, you just get everything and of course, put them together to meet up with the requirement. Again, the high cost of bidding preparation. Oftentimes, they have problem with maybe procuring bidding documents and other required documents. So to address this, the state government is going to make available free templates for download on the internet so that SMEs can just go online, download, and in a situation whereby they still want to come to the office to procure the printed one, the hard copies. It's either at a complete waiver or at a very, very reduced cost so that it doesn't give them problem. And of course, electronic submission of completed bidding documents is going to be accepted for with. We only make sure that such is password protected, read only, to prevent other people hijacking your document from you. The high cost and difficulty in obtaining financial instruments, advance payment, and performance guarantees. What the state government is doing in this respect is to ensure that any contract that is below 1 million naira, let's say mostly for maybe for supplies, maybe stationaries or what have you, all those simple ones, they take off that one completely. You don't really need to start bothering yourself with financial instruments, bid security or what have you for contracts that is below 1 million in value. Again, for the submission of performance documents, a declaration form, and advance payment declaration, security declaration forms, and all this will be made available online. You simply download and make sure that you go before a notary to complete the forms, execute them in his presence, and of course, get it notarized. Once that one is done, it is as good as tenable instrument for your procurement submission. And of course, many people may want to ask, who is a notary? A notary is a class of legal practitioner that has the capacity to witness. Let's say you want to sign affidavit in the court of law now, you go before the commissioner of oath. A notary is that class of legal practitioner, but with the working instrument. And by the time a notary append or seal your document with his working instrument, it becomes notarized. So any notarized document is as good, is also good for tender. Insufficient fund for implementing awarded contracts. For this, to address this, what the state government is going to do is to ensure that the advance payment is increased to 40%. Once this one is done, it will be able to take you far into the contract execution, and you can just look for the little amount that is left to make up. Now, we want to address common errors made by SMEs in public procurement and contract procedures. The number one thing is that failure to follow up on notices of bidding opportunities. This has been said before, and we said that the government is going to ensure that there is wide publicity. But it is one thing for the information to be there, is another thing entirely to seek such information. So the onus is on SMEs to ensure that at all times they are addressed of information that are available at their disposal. So which means that you seek information, you go all out to monitor on daily basis notices from state government and even the public procurement agency's website, because all these available bidding opportunities will be on the website. They will be made readily available on the website of the public procurement agency. So you do yourself good by making sure that you just at your fingertip, your phone, mobile phone, you just go quickly, go to the website, check, is there anything up for bidding today? Let me quickly go through it. Then again, poor understanding of the requirements, that is the bidding documents and technical specifications. Here, just like I said, the bidding document, the form, states in clear terms what is required, the specifications, the model, every detail about every contract that is going to be made available, or the procurement, what is required. So you have to make sure that you pay attention to details, the technicalities involved, get to the root of it, understand everything fully before you complete your form. Lack of courage to request for clarification of bidding documents. SMEs should make sure that once they have gray areas or maybe there's anything that is not too clear to them, they take the pain to seek counsel. In the midst of counsel, there is a safety. Lateness of a submission of bids. For every bidding document, the opening and the closing date will be clearly indicated, except on situations whereby there are additions to the requirements. And even when that one is done, they will cater for additional time to enable bidders to meet up. So once you go through your document, you notice the commencement date and of course the closing date for the submission. So you make sure you work within the timeline. And of course, the government on its own is even trying to give adequate time. So SMEs has no excuse for inability to participate in contracts awarded by the state government forthwith. The state government is going to ensure that SMEs are well taken care of forthwith in contracts and public procurements. Training for SMEs on the guidelines. Just like we are having now, after this one, there will be training on the even the public procurement law too. And then, of course, the public procurement agency will always make sure that SMEs are well taken through the guidelines and even the laws to make sure that they have full understanding of the laws and the guidelines for procurement. Now, outline of procurement process. This is very, very important for us to know. As a bidder, you must know the sequential order of applying and of course be able to follow up with your application. The very first thing is the call for tender. That is, there will be advertisement and of course there will be solicitation for bids. It will be made available. Okay, we are doing this procurement. These are the procedures. Then please let interested bidders come to apply. So that is the very first procedure. Then having done your own part, the next thing is to submit, which of course means to receive on the part of the procuring agency. Then there will be evaluation of such bids. Then the bid winner will be selected. Now, receiving tenders, when you have duly packaged your tender, usually there will be a receiving room or box or as the case may be, depending on the agency or the nature and type of the contract that is made available. So this is received in a confidential room and make sure that it is protected. Nobody can go in there, nobody can tamper with it until the opening. And for the opening, they make sure that the transparency is duly embraced in the opening procedure. The bidders will be there, other people will be there to observe what the procedure is like, because they want to ensure that there is transparency at every stage. So the materials are received, opened, and of course, they will go through the documents submitted and make sure that the details required are well met. So once that one is done, then they will now look at which one is most favorable, as in with ready or willingness or ability or capacity to meet up with the full requirements, and even at the bearable or at the lowest cost. Now, cost in the sense that it has to be a cost that will be friendly to the procuring agency while delivering the deliverables to the fullest. I take this again. It has to be a competitive cost delivering the full deliverables, following the specifications specified in the bidding document. So once you meet all these, you can be rest assured that you are on the right path to winning the bid. So usually for observers, they invite two credible persons as observers, one from transparency organization, a non-governmental organization, and of course, a private sector professional, somebody that knows the nitty-gritty of that, of what the bid is all about. Maybe it's procurement, somebody that has full understanding about the procurement, the article or item or to be procured, or maybe it's a contract, somebody that is an authority in that field that knows into detail about, have full detail about the project to be done. So those ones will be the one to observe. And of course, on after that one, the next thing is to make sure that they seek the approval of the approving authority for the award. Now, having selected the winning bid, the next thing to do is for people that has complaints or maybe questions, as more importantly, the losers, what they need to do is to call for debrief. In the course of the training, we'll be taking us through the course of debrief in an extra one, of course, and if that one is done, the procedure for addressing such and what could be done from the procuring authority to the bureau, if need be, and of course, should they need to escalate to the point of the law to the court.
Just to quickly inform you, Engineer Akintomide, that you have about 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes.
Thank you, Wale. We'll quickly run through. The slide is self-explanatory, and of course, we're going to make it available to everybody at the end of the training. And of course, thank you so much. So after that one, the next thing is to execute all contract agreements and of course, announce and publicize the award. Now, what measure has the government put in place to ensure that SMEs are actually involved in bidding processes? Because the essence of this training is to ensure that SMEs come on board now. So government has put measures in place to ensure that SMEs are truly included in public procurement activities. So the number one thing that is that every MDA will, as a matter of must, make available every contract or project or procurement that is open in its agency, known to the public procurement agency on monthly basis. So they will furnish PPA with that information so that they can ensure that they put it on their website and, of course, make it available to the public. Then there must be full description of the contract, detailed description of the contract without ambiguities. Then, of course, the names of the bidders must be made public so that at the end of the day, if you bidded for a contract and you did not see your name, you can shout that CEO, I put in for this, but my name was never included. So government is trying to do all that to make sure that nobody is robbed of the privilege. Then again, we want to know the employment strength of every bidder. Note it that we're told at the beginning that part of the reason why the state government is trying to bring in SMEs is to ensure that SMEs are brought back to their initial position before the advent of COVID-19, because COVID has so much detrimental effect on SMEs. So the state government is trying to do everything humanly possible to cushion the effect or bring up SMEs in totality and make sure that they come back fully to operation. So we want to ensure that they have come back to their maximum employment strength. Again, they want to know at the end of the day if the winning bidder is an SME or not. So if not, what happened? Why wasn't it an SME that actually won at the end of the day? There must be conditions, convincing reason why it is not an SME. Now, to make bidding process easy and convenient, SMEs must know the following. What is required, the documents required for participation in contracts. And so we quickly take this. Once you have this at your fingertip or you have this readily available, anytime there is opportunity for you to bid, you can easily go into it. The number one thing is the filing of the procurement tender form. Just like we said, you can either get that one from online, download it, or go approach the procuring agency to get it. Then you make sure that you have all your documents of registration with Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC. So you have your certificate of incorporation, you have your memorandum of an article of association, and then of course what this does is to like for instance the memorandum and article of association, it should have been stated there the kind or the classification of contracts that or activities that your incorporation is meant to engage in. So for somebody that's enlisted for agricultural base now, you can now go into construction, because where you have your core competence is very, very important to us. We want to know, okay, you are an engineer, you are into building construction, you cannot go into agriculture. If you are an agriculturalist, yes, that is where your strength is. So that's where your strength lies. I want to make sure that we help you to maximize that potential there. So you go for contracts that is related to your registration. We have company profile detailing the directors, the technical persons, and giving us full understanding of what the company is all about. We want to know, okay, so the company has AYZ. It has these are the directors, this is their this is their that, this is their competence, this is their years of experience. We want to know all that. But that does not mean that starters cannot participate. We just want to know where your strength is so that the government will know where to best position you. There, again, to participate in any contract in any organization, you must be fully registered with such, and of course, has the certificate of registration. Then, of course, for the bond performance declaration, bid securing declaration, sworn affidavit, and of course, advance payment declaration form. We said that those ones can be downloaded online and executed in presence of a notary and then notarized. Then it becomes a tenable document. Again, what is important again is that for you to participate, we want to ensure that you are a taxpayer. You pay your tax as and when due. So at least your tax client certificate for the last 3 years, we want to see it. Then any other document. By any other document, it means documents that indicate your strength, maybe what you have done in time past, certificate of completion, or anything that can actually add to your chances to win the bid. Now, the debriefing procedure. For you to have a debrief, you have to make it official. The Public Procurement Law 2014, 2020 amended, gave full opportunity for you to call for debriefing. That is explanation on why you missed out on a contract. And of course, that should be done within 15 days after the winner has been selected, or after opening of the bid before the declaration. Then again, you wait for the next 15 days to have response or rectification of errors or whatever that is causing, that led to your being disqualified by the procuring authority. If that one is done and you are not still satisfied, within 10 days after that one has been done, you lodge your complaint to the Bureau of Public Procurement. Then the Bureau of Public Procurement, within 15 days, will make sure that, okay, they call the parties involved, they call the authorities of the procuring agency, and of course, the person that called for the brief or the complaint. So if with that one, they make it open and transparent, and if there's need for the procedure to be reversed, they do it, or if they need to cancel in totality or annul the procedure, they do that to give room for fresh beginning. But in a situation whereby they have done all within their power and you still seems not satisfied, what you can do is to now make sure that you now proceed to the court within 21 working days to the pronouncement of the authority of the bureau, and then you lodge complaint to the court of law within 30 days after the receipt of the decision of the bureau, and or the explanation is not, you are not satisfied with it. With this, we have come to the end of the trading session. So thank you so much. Thank you all for listening, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Kehinde Akintomide. Very, very revealing. It's just about getting to know. So many SMEs never knew that they have this wonderful opportunity. And of course, right now, ignorance is not permitted at all, because in Ogun State, we want SMEs to also participate actively in public contract awards. And of course, that's why the training is on right now. So it's now time for question and answer segment. And so we would like you to indicate the questions you have. We already went to the chat room. That's why it's very important for us to get into the chat room, leave our questions there. And of course, please wave. Wave, it's very important. Raise your hand if you have a question. Raise your hand if you have a question. Get into the chat room. And of course, electronically, we can also get to take your questions. It's very important. And of course, the technical people are also working assiduously, everyone working assiduously to make sure you actually get your questions answered. Of course, I've been told Toyin Omotayo is actually waving her hands, raised her hand. So while we try to take a question, let us assure all of us that the presentation, that's this presentation, and of course the one to follow, will be sent to our email addresses, and that is why we're imploring all of us to please.
Can I go on my question?
Okay, let's take the question we have from one of the participants right now. Your question.
Okay, my name. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Tokwe from ASBON, Association of Small Business Owners from Nigeria. I want to sincerely thank the person that spoke now. Fantastic. Of course, a couple of things that we're not aware before, especially the law aspect of it. And for me, I think Ogun State is doing fine. Now, my question is this: in as much as all of this seems to look new, and of course, we did appreciate it, for SMEs to fully participate, like we've said, of course, you are bringing us in because we don't have much money to rub shoulders with the big shots. Now, if you are giving us 40% of the contract, I'm not sure 60% is the profit of the contract. So I think, will it be possible for the government to do probably 50 or 60% of the contract sum? Then of course, it will be easy for us to, to scan, for the remaining and get the job done. Giving us 40%, I'm not really seeing it as a way of actually helping us, to rub shoulder with the big shot to get the contract done. So I would like to know, on behalf of all the SME president, that can we have something like that where we have 60%, for the contract, and of course for us to be able to execute it. And secondly, I want to really plead, we've been saying it, the only way the SMEs can be carried along fully is by, continuous engagement with the BMOs, to make it easier for the BMOs to get across to their members. Tell them what needs to be done, how to go about it. It's, for me, I think it will be much, much easier for me as a member of ASBON to go to ASBON Secretariat to get details about whatever contract I want to bid in, rather than coming to the commission, the Ministry of Works or Budget to seek for information on how to go about it, or even believing in advert. You understand? So I think rubbing minds with the BMOs will really go a long way. But of course, most importantly is the contract money. So if it will be possible for us to have 60% instead of 40%. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Temitope Oweye. Next, we have Mr. Adebanjo Olatunji. Mr. Adebanjo, please unmute yourself so that you can ask your question.
Okay, my question goes as, firstly, I want to know if businesses registered with business name can also.
Please, Mr. Adebanjo,
apply for bidding, because it's what I saw on the
Mr. Adebanjo, please, because of network challenge in the course of your communication, you need to please repeat the question again.
Okay, I want to know if businesses that registered just their business name are not limited, are they also qualified for bidding?
Okay.
That's first. Secondly, does the financial revenue, the gross revenue of the SME also determines if the bidding will be approved for the SME, like the annual turnover of the business? Does this also influence the decision of the approval? Those are my two questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Next, we have with us Jagaban for his question. So we take him right now. Please unmute yourself so you can ask your question.
Yeah, thank you, Kainde, and I appreciate the presenter, Engineer Akintomide, for actually giving a good presentation, because I think it's very clear what the government's intentions are from what he has said. Honestly, I must commend the organization of this forum, because it's a way of bringing everyone together and ensuring that we're on the same page, which is, I think it's a plus for the government of Ogun State. Having said that, I just want some clarification on one. I think the last speaker asked one of the things, and that is the role of turnover on the process. And secondly, is the role of bank guarantees and stuff like that on the process. When I say bank guarantees, when I say stuff like that, I mean all other basic requirements such as NSITF and all those education, all those other requirements that you put forth on bigger bids. Because I wouldn't know what roles all this will play, because I know that be based on scoring. So are we likely to have the scoring indicators or the parameter for scoring here? Because this will make things clearer for all participants so that nobody will feel like, okay, fine, they are being advantaged.
Everything is stated in the bidding document.
I know it will be embedded in the bidding document, but I'm thinking here because are we not going to buy the bidding document? If it's going to be for free, fine. Or if it's going to be bought, then it's better we know what the criteria will be. Thank you.
Okay, so those are the questions. Right now, engineer, will answer those questions.
Thank you so much, Wale. I must confess, it's been a wonderful time. And let me start from the last question. First, I appreciate the identification, Jagaba. Please, it will be nice if you can get to know your true name. If you belong to any business membership organization, we'd like to know too. We want to know the personalities we are dealing with. Thank you. Now, you've asked some salient and very, very important questions. I'm having echo. So, number one thing is that you want to know if the bank guarantee and other documents that are required is going to form part of your scoring or assessment. Now, let me state here that in the course of the training, it has been made clear that because the state government appreciates the present situation of things and setbacks suffered by SMEs, the state government has put in these measures. And one of it is to make sure that even to accept or to make available templates or bidding documents online so that SMEs or bidders can access. And again, even if you want to get the hard copy, if you want to procure the hard copy, it's going to be at maybe complete waiver or at very, very minimal cost, that it will be easy for SMEs to procure. And that is why, as an SME, all you need to do is to go online, download these documents, and then all the scoring criteria will be well spelled out in the bidding document. So it is easy for you to know, okay, I attract so marks. So the scoring details will be there. It will be made open for you all to see. You want, Mr. Adebanjo wants to know if people with registered business name can participate. Yes. What is important to us is that you are an SME, and more importantly, you have the competence. Once you have the competence to do the job, it will be made available to you. Then Mr. Tope is asking for continuous engagement with BMOs. I've said it before, and this is part of what we're doing now. Even for this training, we realize that we use the BMOs platforms more, and of course, and the state government is out to do more with the BMOs. We are interacting and we're embracing the BMOs the more on daily basis. On the mobilization, the state government has placed it at 40%. You are, Mr. Temitope Oweye is asking if it could be scaled up to 60% again. I think with 40%, you would have gone reasonably far into the project. And anybody that sees your commitment on the project, it won't be difficult for you to meet up with the remaining. Thank you. I wouldn't know if
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I would like to make a few comments, if I may. My name is Ola Binton.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's an honor, Honorable Commissioner, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Please, before
disabled my video. Okay.
Before the commissioner make a comment, please. My name is Olayinka Kazim. I'm sorry for cutting you, sir.
Sorry, sir. Please.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Please make it brief.
All right,
please make it brief.
Yeah. Sorry for cutting you, sir. So I actually put a question on the chat room. It's the first time I'll be joining this kind of meeting, and I'm in a diaspora, so I have a business in Nigeria running. I just want to, I wouldn't know whether you can use this opportunity to summarize any available support for SMEs. I know that, I'm sorry for digressing a bit, we're talking about contract award here for government contract awards and other, but are you able to summarize what support does the government have for SMEs as of today? So that at least, as someone like me, I'm new to this, so I just want to know if there are support available for SMEs outside contract awards in terms of supporting their businesses, just at a high level. I'm sorry for calling. So over to you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much. My name is Olaolu Olabinton. I'm the Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Planning. All protocols duly observed. I just want to speak on some of the questions that have been asked. Engineer Akintomide has, answered some of them, but I'd just like to make a few comments. In terms of the gentleman that spoke last and spoke about the support for SMEs, I want you to know that what we are doing now is a major support for SMEs. However, I would allow the Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment to speak to that. So I'll just talk about the other issues that were raised before now. The first person talked about the 40% advance payment and stated that he doesn't think it is okay. Well, what I would like to say is that if you recognize that we used to talk of between 15 and 30% before now, so we have moved forward, and I would say that, like this speaker before me has said, what we believe is that this should be adequate, but let's try this first. Let's see how it goes. And we are open to further discussions, but we firmly believe that 40% should take you so far, and we will all see whether this is adequate or not. Now, somebody also talked about it being easier to deal with the BMOs instead of coming to the MDA. We will try our best to deal with the BMOs, but you have to understand that procurement, one of the tenets of procurement is what we call open competitive bidding. We also cannot be seen to be favoring BMOs. So what we will do essentially is put out the information in the public space. So when we say public space, it will be on the websites of our Bureau of Procurement. And that's where you should go to as your first point of call if you want to supply to the government. It would also be on the journals that will be published from time to time. So that should be your first point of call, and that should be available to everybody. We are in the days, and these are the days where everybody is on a smartphone. So it's not very difficult. With 500 Naira data, you can get onto a website. So I would encourage you, please, we will deal with the BMOs, but we don't want to be seen as giving undue advantage to any BMO. Somebody asked whether a registered business can bid. Yes, a registered business can bid as long as you meet all the requirements of the bid. Somebody asked whether the annual turnover would matter. Well, you will not be penalized for turnover that is low, but you would agree with me that the turnover, one of the things your turnover does is to give us an idea of the level of prior performance. So yes, the turnover will be taken into consideration, but it won't be to penalize you. It will be for us to use it to assess your prior performance levels and experiences. Somebody just asked, what is BMO? It is Business Membership Organization. So like NASIMA, Ogun, Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, and what have you. Now, somebody asked whether the requirements for bids will come into play and that how would it affect the bidding process, and also talked about whether the bidding documents will be free or will be paid for, and suggesting that they don't want to waste their time and bid only for them to realize that they do not qualify. The requirements for the bids will definitely come to play. And so the way it usually would work, there are several ways, but let me just lay out the simplest form and the most common one, will be for us to have 3 levels. So the first level will be the level of the expression of interest, or what we call a shortlist level. So the advert that you would see without having to pay would clearly state the requirements at that stage. So at that stage, it will be clearly stated, you probably need your tax clearance certificate, you need NSITF, you need registration as an engineer. All of that will be clearly stated. And that will be before the stage where you have to pay. You understand me? So a short list will then happen before, you begin to talk of the level where you have to pay for a technical, to pay for the bidding documents. That's what I mean. So it's
Actually,
be able to do that.
training.
So I'll hand over to the Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment so that she can answer the gentleman who wants to know about the support we have for the SMEs. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
I'm having a meeting with the Commissioner for Budget and Planning.
Honorable Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mr. Kekelo Molonge, will now respond to those questions.
Thank you, HC Budget and Planning, Commissioner Labinton. Thank you, Wale. Yes, the gentleman wanted to know what support programs we have for the for SMEs in the state. Indeed, I will agree with the Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Planning that I will agree with the Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Planning that this intervention, issuing guidelines and helping SMEs participate in government contracts and awards, is actually a very major support that we have arranged for SMEs. That said, we have we also have capacity building programs. We have business clinics where we identify issues faced by MSMEs, where we support them with registration, getting regulatory approvals from different agencies, regulatory agencies like the like NAFDAC, Standards Organization of Nigeria. We help them with linking up with financial institutions and so on and so forth. We also have programs around access to finance, largely being able to access credit at attractive interest rates that will be friendly to their businesses. We have advisory services, we have linkages to various multilateral institutions that support SMEs. So reach out to us in my ministry, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. I'll be happy to help you. We work closely with the business membership organizations as well to try to understand the needs of the SMEs and see how we can help. So we do have a lot for SMEs, and I'll encourage the gentleman who asked the questions to reach out to us on details of what is available. So we have, support for capacity building. We have support for access to finance. We have support for market access. We even train SMEs on how to be export ready, accessing the export markets and ensuring that their products are acceptable, for exports as well. We do value chain linkages, helping with backward integration for as much as possible, helping with forward integration. So there's so much that we do. In addition to existing businesses, we also have some programs for startups, those who are just starting out and trying to do proof of concept, trying to come up with breakthrough products and services, be it technology, be it food and beverage, whatever it is. So we do have a lot for SMEs. Like we shared during the course of this program, SME sector is one that is very important for this administration, and we're doing all we can to help SMEs. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That was quite explicit, and I was caught up in quite a number of issues, which was why I raised this question. Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Thank you so much. We appreciate the Honorable State Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Kikelo Molunge, and of course, the Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Planning, Mr. Olaolu Olabinton, FCA. Thank you so much for doing justice to those questions. We admit that we have more questions, and of course, we want to assure you, please let those questions keep coming in, because we will attend to all of those questions. But right now, we need to head for the next. Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes. I honestly want to appreciate the two commissioners that spoke. I think it is highly encouraging.
Please. Okay. Please, because of our time.
Yes, I'm going to be.
Because of our time, send your message, drop it in the chat room. That is why we've been emphasizing that you should please get to the chat room. We have to manage our time. It's not just because of one particular person, because of every one of us. Everybody has one thing or the other that they have to do. And once we sent out the information about the timing, about the particular time for this training, everybody took note of it. And it will be very important that we manage our time. So because of this, we'll be going for the second training. And let me quickly chip in that if you have more inquiries, that you can also come to the Block B, State Secretariat, Okemoson, Abeokuta, where the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment is actually located. The ministry is there because of you, to take care of your interests. So please send your questions, and of course, the questions will be answered. Right now, quickly, the second session, we'll go into the second session, and that's one, the topic is Ogun State Public Procurement Law Guidelines, as facilitated by Engineer Onofowokon. It's just going to be for 30 minutes because of our time. So, Engineer Onofowokon, over to you.
An opportunity to answer a question at the end of the second session.
Let me also quickly. Okay, let me also add that in the course of the second training, That's the training that will be taken by engineer Onofowokon. You also have the chance to ask your questions. So you can keep jotting and of course take note of your questions, get into the chat room as well, drop it there for us. We'll definitely respond to your questions. Now, straight away, we'll go for Ogun State Public Procurement Law Guidelines, the training as facilitated by engineer Onofowokon. 30 minutes. Yeah. Over to you, engineer.
Good morning, all. It's a pleasure to be here. First, I would like to say, standard existing protocols. Welcome all participants here and say that we appreciate your time being here to listen to what the government has for us. In the area of creating an enabling environment for participation of private sector, we're saying that government's business is not strictly for business. We encourage participation of private sector so that we can move the state to a greater height. For the next 30 minutes, I'll be talking to us on the Ogun State Procurement Law 2014, amended 2020. Yes, before I go into it, I would like to remind us that law, we all know what a law is, but just a reminder, a law is a set of rules that governs the conduct of an organization, a community, in respect of an action that is enforceable. And we all know that, yes, ignorance is not an excuse under the law. And because it is enforceable, any contravenance constitutes an offense that is punishable under the law. It's just a reminder for us all. And we're saying that, yes, Ogun State governments want everybody to be a partaker in this journey. Like we say, we all know that. That's why we're doing this. And to take us to hear the objective, what we intend to achieve at the end of the day is we hope that at the end of this training session, the 2 sessions, we will have been able to fully brief our audience, that's the SMEs, about the provisions of this law, to know what the law is all about, so they can see what opportunities are there in for them. We also hope that at the end of the day, we will have been able to sharpen our skills to let's say, okay, how do I go about getting the government contract? What do I need to do? Well, how do I pick up a bidding document? What does it entail? We hope at the end of the day, we have all that. And also, we hope at the end of the day, we will have changed our perceptions to say that, yes, it is not what it used to be. People say that the government contract, no, we're saying that it is open to all. And once you're a Nigerian, you're eligible. And once your company, your papers are clean, you have evidence to show that you have capacity to execute the job, the sky is the limit. This is just a topics, things that we're talking about here. We're talking about what is the procurement, why are we doing the reform, the law itself, what is it all about, the Council on Procurement, the Bureau of Public Procurement, what's a contract, what constitutes a contract, what are the complaint procedures, and so on and so forth. And the next 30 minutes, we shall shed more light on that. Yes, Ogun State Public Procurement Law, that's the part 1. The presentation has been phased into 2 for a better understanding. Here, why are we here? Like I said, why are we here is to say we're here to create an enabling environment for SMEs to partake in government business. It is not going to be strictly for government alone. Yes, there will be direct labor, but even in that, there will be opportunities for the private sectors to participate so that there can be a viable partnership between the state government and the private sector to ensure that the limited funds, you know that money is a scarce resource now, and we want to be sure that what we use it for is something that's going to meet the needs of our people. Not just we're doing it because I'm this, I'm that. We want to be sure that what we do meets our needs, is owned by us, and it will be protected and secured by us towards the development of our great state. Also, why procurement? We know that before now, yes, we do tender. We're not saying it's so bad, but we're saying that what are the existing rules therein? How can we refine it? How can we make it better for all so that it will be efficient? It will be there'll be value for money on things we do, so that it is fit for purpose. We're not doing what we want to do, but to say that, yes, we're following a process that, yes, at the end of the day, we shall all be happy about it. And we're saying that henceforth to do this, there's going to be a procurement plan that we all know in advance that will come year 2020 or come year 2021, this is what the government intends to do. So for me as a business owner, I'll have to go into it and to look into it and say, okay, how can I partake in it? And we're also saying that in doing that, there'll be efficient information dissemination. To do this, we're going to have an online platform. We all know this. We're in the e-commerce world, the website of Ogun State government. There'll be journals available for us to pick at designated places, which will be announced to us later. We're also saying that we're going to use the print and news media to disseminate this information so that it's not just being one channel. Oh, because I did not buy paper of yesterday, I didn't know what the government is doing. No, we're saying that even after the paper is gone, you can come to our website to see what we intend to do. And even if you think, yes, I'm not e-compliant, you can come to the Bureau of Public Procurement or relevant government agencies to pick up the journal for you to acquaint yourself with what the government is doing and how you can get engaged in this. Also, we said the process is just a short period of how it's going to be. You pick up your bid, you submit your bid, the bid will be evaluated, the tenders board, contract will be awarded to successful bidder, and we're going to project execution. And as we proceed on all these stages, information will be available on the website for input, for feedback from our people to say that, oh, what we are doing, are we happy about it? Does it meet our needs? The procurement law, just a cap of what the procurement law is all about. Like I said, it's a procurement law 2014, amended in 2020 by Prince Dr. Dapo Abiodun, and the law establishes the Council on Public Procurement and the Bureau of Public Procurement. The Bureau is the agency saddled with, yes, what policies do we need into? They submit it to the Council. The Council does the oversight role, approves if they find it good for our people. We're saying that, yes, the Bureau will coordinate what are you doing in Ministry of Works. Is it in line with what we have all agreed? It's not going to be a case that, yes, Ministry of Work has decided to go this way to do a certain contract within a particular threshold. We're also saying that then there will be a legal framework for what we're doing to be sure that, yes, it is what we've agreed on, and should you breach any of this process, there will be penalty. We're also saying that the law allows us to harmonize existing procedures with the new one. We're not just throwing it away. Look at it. If it's transparent, if it's good for us, we adopt it, and we're trying to refine it to make sure that, yes, it makes it inclusive for us. The area of exclusivity is gone. We got Ogun, and we want all hands on deck to move the state forward. Standards will be set and we'll comply with. And we're also saying that, yes, the era of not training or you doing it the way you think it has to be, the way you think it should be. No, there'll be training and retraining to sharpen our skills and also expand our knowledge on how things are done to be sure that, yes, it's now a global world and we're not left behind. Just to take us through who are those members of the council that we're saying. Yes, the council, we all have a right to know who. The council will be headed by the chairman who also doubles as the commissioner for budget and planning. On that council too will be a special advisor to be appointed by His Excellency, the governor, and also the Director General of the Bureau will be the secretary of the council. We're saying that, yes, it's not limited to public servants alone. Other members from the private sector, from outside, who are stakeholders in the procurement field, will be allowed on board to share their ideas and be sure that, yes, what we're doing is transparent and we keep record of all what we do. Also on that council will be a representative of the Secretary to State Government, Commissioner for Finance, Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, and the Head of Service. Also, the functions of the Bureau, just in brief, like I mentioned earlier, is to consider policies presented to it by the Bureau, check what the Bureau is doing, the accounts. Are they using government funds judiciously and as agreed with the government? We're also saying that, yes, the Bureau is hands-on to look at, yes, what are the bidding documents meant to be, which will be reviewed from time to time? What are the thresholds? By threshold, we mean by, yes, there will be limits. We know that in like my partner has said, in SME, there are three categories: medium, micro, which are defined by your financial capability and number of employee. So we're saying that, yes, we want to be sure that the work we're giving to you, there's equal opportunity for all. If you know that the job is not that complex, it's something that an organization with 5 employee can do, will restrict the standard so that it's not be too high or above or beyond your reach that would not be, you don't be able to partake in it. So what we're trying to say with the treasury is going to be graduated, maybe from 0 to 5 million, we can say it's shopping. You might not necessarily be a limited liability company, but once you have a registered company, a business, you can come in and do that. We're also saying that threshold, like we can say between 5 and 250 million, of course, is a huge fund, and we have to be sure that there is enough security to protect public funds, and so on and so forth like that. The thresholds will be held for us all to know and get acquainted with it as we proceed. We're also saying that the council would see, yes, what is the modern trend? Ogun State, we do not want to be behind. We want to be abreast of happening. So from time to time, the council will look at, yes, e-procurement, if it's possible, we will deploy it. Like I said also, the council will approve the directors of the bureau and give any other further directive as necessary to ensure that the bureau does or performs efficiently. The bureau will be headed by a director general who will also double as the chief executive and accounting officer. Other principal officers will be unveiled or appointed by the council, and we shall get you informed of that as soon as we have those details. Functions of the bureau. The bureau will be saddled with formulating policies. What is guiding us? How do we do this? If it's shopping, if it is goods, if it is services, it's a function of the bureau to do that. And once they get that and they have the nod or approval of the council, they will publicize it to us so that we all know about it. And we're saying that channels that we'll be using is, yes, electronic on our websites, newspapers, the print media and news media, TVs, radios. We're also saying that the BMOs, like NASIMAs, like we'll work with you and let you have such details in your offices or probably on your notice board so that members, when they come in, they can see and know what is on and how they can partake. We're also saying that, yes, the bureau will supervise the procuring entities. Who are the procuring entities? These are the MDAs like Ministry of Works, Ministry of Health. Yes, the guidance is there, but when they will not be left alone to do it on their own, there will be a support from the bureau to be sure that, yes, it is what we all agreed on that they are doing. Like I said, there will be a database to be sure that, yes, what we did some few years back, there's a replicate somewhere, apart from the MDAs keeping it, the bureau too will be a custodian so that there's a one-stop shop for government activities as regards procurement and awards of contract. Also, the bureau will publish details of contracts. We're saying that, yes, it's not going to be full transparency. If you partake in a bidding process and a winner is picked, we're not just going to keep the information to the winner. All those who participated in the process has a right, and yes, they will all be duly informed of the outcome of the process, either through the websites, the paper, the journal, or through those channels that we have mentioned. The bureau too will do training like we're doing now. This is a virtual training, and the training is coming virtual because of, we all know the time that we are. This is the COVID era, and we're keeping in line with the guidance of the NCDC, that's the Center for Disease Control in Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Health, and Ogun State's Ministry of Health. In brief, those are few functions of the bureau. Undertake procurement research. What are we doing? We're not going to keep it to ourselves. We want to be sure that, yes, what we're doing is in town or is in tune with the modern trend. Yes, where need be, the bureau will give no objection. What the no objections means, yes, once you follow the guidelines, there is a second eye that looks at it and says that, yes, good. What you have done is in compliance with what we agreed on, and you can proceed to the next stage. Also, the bureau has an oversight on MDAs to ensure that, yes, unfair practice is checked and is not allowed. Fraud is not perpetrated in any way through the process, like bid rigging or influencing or pollution or whatever is not going to be allowed. We're also saying that there's going to be external audits on all these agencies to say that yes, depending on the threshold and what we agreed at inception, what have you done? And the reports will be submitted not only to the executive but also to the legislature for the oversight function to be sure that yes, it's what's all we agreed on, and there is transparency and equal opportunity for all. Yeah, like all what we have been talking since is procurement is just a guidelines towards securing a contract between a government agency and the private sector. So it is important for us to know what a contract is. I'm not going to read. I know we're all literate, but just to acquaint us, it's something that is enforceable under the law. We all know that before there can be a contract, there's going to be an offer and acceptance, and the offer will be your bid that you give to the government agency. And once the agency is satisfied that yes, we're sure of your competence and your costs is good for us, there will be a letter of acceptance, prior to which we'll now sign a contract that is on that seal and is enforceable under the law. And we're saying types of contracts we're going to look at is a lump sum contract. Just to tell us what a lump sum contract is, like saying that we want to do a house, we want to build a school now, we might decide to say that once you complete the foundation, you're entitled to this payment. Once you do the superstructure, you're entitled to this payment. Once you get to the roof, you're entitled to this payment, and so on and so forth like that. Under a unit rate contract, that's where we have, yes, what is the unit, what is the rate, what is the amount, and it's going to be measurable. So if it's been quoted that, yes, you're going to buy 100 blocks at 10 naira, we're going to measure your payments, should you, because we know that it's just an estimate to guide us to be sure that, yes, the job is done. So if the contract says you buy 100 blocks at 10 naira, and at the end of the day, you ended up not using up to 100 blocks to be measured, and you shall be paid as stated in the contract, the cost plus contract, incentive rate contract, and so on and so forth. Also, we're saying that yes, there's equal opportunity. Government is not gagging anybody. Should you not be satisfied about the process or procedure, there are procedures for complaints. And just to take us through the slides will be given to us to read and acquaint. The law tool is available for all of us. You can go to the website of the state government to pick it so that you can have in-depth knowledge of all these things we're saying. What we're saying in brief is that should you as an SME who participated in a procurement process, and at the end of the day, when the successful or most responsible bidder is picked, we're human beings. It is when information is not well disseminated, that's when there'll be grievances. And we're saying that should you still have any complaints or grievances, you have a right with effect from within 15 days from the date the result was announced, to write a letter of complaint to the MDAs, and the MDAs should within 15 days respond to you. Should they not answer you, you have a right, or even if they answer you and you're still not satisfied with what they have said, you have a right to write to the bureau, who shall at that point stop the MDAs from going on with the process and say, we have received a complaint, please stop, let us look at it to be sure that yes, there is fairness and equity for all, and the bureau is mandated under law by law to answer you within 15 days. Should you still feel dissatisfied with that, what the law says is you go to the Federal High Court, who shall look at it in 30 days, and that will be final. Whatever the court says shall be the final in this process. Also, we're saying that yes, conflict is bound to happen, and should there be a conflict, we all know what a conflict is. Conflict is when there is a disagreement between two parties, probably in the course of executing a contract, and the law has permitted arbitration to be the process to use in resolving any conflict that may arise or that comes in line, during the process of executing the contract. Ethical practice, everybody is expected to be truthful. That's what is going to guide us. We're trying to be transparent. We're expected to be, yes, truthful and be transparent enough. Also, Like I said, accountability, transparency, dishonesty, these are the things that will guide both the private sector and government agencies. Offenses, like I said, ignorance is not an excuse under the law, and we know that a law is something that's enforceable, and should you contravene or breach any provision of the law, that's why you commit an offense, which shall be investigated. And if you're found one thing, that's when we're going to put penalties. I was just trying to tell us under this process, what are the things that constitute an offense? If you give us false documents, that's wrong. That means you're trying to deceive us. If you try to say, yes, my brother works in that agency and I think I can use that, or probably do a collusive thing, that's offense. If you try to do a fraud, probably your tax, the law or the process has requested you to give a tax clearance for the next, or for the last, let's say 5 years, and probably because you didn't have that, you had colluded with somebody to give a fake document. Should we go and check and we'll find that to be so, that's a fraud, and automatically you'll be out of the process. Bid rigging, we know what that is. Splitting of tenders, we know what that is. We're saying all such things will not be allowed. Penalties. Like we said, if you commit an offense and you're found guilty, what are the penalties, or what are the punishments under the law? We're saying that if you're found guilty as an agency, yes, we will, or we might, depending on the gravity of the offense, debar you from partaking in government's procurement process for 5 years. We might make you to pay a fine, depending on the gravity of the offense. And
Quickly,
we might even say that, yes, the directors are culpable.
You have less than 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you. If you found the directors of the company, because under law, a company is a legal entity, and also the directors too are entities, but they could be culpable if they have been found guilty of that offense. I'm saying that, yes, maximum punishment could be to go to imprisonment for 2 years, or a restitution to say that, okay, you forced a tender, okay, because of that, would find a softer penalty to be melted on an erring or official or erring company. We are also saying that, yes, once you get the contract out, it's going to be monitored, and to monitor it, how are we going to do it? Because we don't want it to be that, how did they mark me? How did they know I'm progressing? How did they know my contract is going? And when it's only them that know what they're doing. No, we're not saying that. You're going to develop a work breakdown structure to say that, okay, this contract that you have given me is meant to be completed in 6 months. Okay, maybe you have decided to say that in every month I tend to move at this stage. So at the end of the stipulated period, we'll come into it and say that, yes, we agreed by end of month 1, this is what it's supposed to be. Are you ahead of time, or are you behind schedule? We're also going to look at your cost to say that, oh, by the end of the first month, we had planned to spend this much. Are we in line with our budget, or are we having a budget deficit? Because cost is important in project. 3 things we're going to look at: the scope, the cost, and the quality is very, very important to us. So in all our projects, we have to ensure that, yes, specification is abided with. We're not going to compromise on quality at all. Like I said, performance reports based on the few things I've mentioned earlier is what we're going to adjudge you to say that, yes, Mr. A is doing good and Mr. B needs to improve upon. Also, we're saying that the planning element to say that where do we supposed to be? That's what the plan is, and we're going to measure it against actual to say that, yes, are we keeping to time? Because we know that the longer you stay on a project, the more money you're likely to spend, and we don't want to incur any deficit at all. We're also saying that our budget, like I said, what's the variance, what is the schedule variance, what is the cost variance, so that we're going to learn from this project, so that when we're preparing for another project or similar features, those lessons learned will help us to improve how we perform or how we schedule those contracts. Yes, guidance, just a brief, because my timekeeper is telling me I have limited time. I'll just tell you, we are in emergency period of COVID-19, and we know that in line with the guidelines of SCDC, we all need to have a mask on, keep our surfaces clean. try as much as possible to reduce physical gathering, and so on and so forth. If not for the era or the period we're in, I'm sure a training like this will have been done physically in an open space where participants come in and we feel ourselves. But we're saying that even at that, we're going to use technology to be sure that government business continues and it's not at standstill. And we're saying that, yes, under this, just for our information, that in case of emergencies, there could be direct contracting to say that if you have worked with us before, and we know that this is an emergency, something needs to be done, we will call you and we might not go through that process. Not in all cases, but in case of emergencies like this, we're also saying that under this period, yes, like we're doing e-bidding or e-procurement will be allowed. Adverts electronically will be available for us to pick in. And for those of us who feels we can come in, we're also allowed to come in and see these things. We're saying that despite this process, there will be transparency. Information will be available for everybody to know what we have done on the website. We're having a virtual training like this, everybody to know. I'm also saying that quarterly, whatever government has done, because yes, governments represent us, we all can go to the websites of Ogun State's government quarterly to see that, what has my government done for my area in terms of COVID? Those informations will be available for us all to know and to acquaint ourselves with latest developments in the government sector. On that note, I say thank you. I don't know if there are questions from anyone.
Thank you so much, Engineer Tony Onofo, for that presentation on Ogun State Public Procurement Law Guidelines. Right now, it's now the time for participants to ask their questions. So please indicate by waving your hand. And of course, you can get into the chat room as well. Put your questions there. We're here for you. We will ensure that your questions are attended to. Okay, let's quickly check the chat room. While we expect more questions from the chat room, we have a question from Sahid. Sahid says, I want to ask if the procurement law allows members of the board or relations to participate in meetings. I don't know if you get the question.
Which board are we talking about? Members of the board or close relations to participate? Well, I don't know what board. If you mean the board of or the Bureau of Public Procurement, no. These are officials of government. You cannot take two sides. On the side of the government, that would not allow for transparency. That will be deemed as, because you are the one to adjust the process and you're also the one to get the work done. That is not for an official of government. But we're saying that, yes, if you go through the law, there will be a form for you to disclose. Oh, I am Tomi Nigeria Limited. Yes, my brother is Chide, he works with the Ministry of Works. The requirements will be there in the document for you to fill. So should you see those documents in the bidding documents, it is mandatory and it's important for you to comply. We're not saying because you have said your brother works, that would not, but we're saying that we know ahead of time and it's not something that is hidden at all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Onofo. We have more questions. Please, we're encouraging all of us. So far, you have a question, get into the chat room and put your questions there. We will answer your question. We have capable people right here. We will attend to your question. Kende Shogunle also has this question for us. It says, how is the state facilitating access to the palliatives being organized by the FG, that's the federal government, in the economic sustainability program, e.g. survival fund?
Well, thank you. I'll leave that to Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Planning or HC Industry, Trade and Investments to answer, because I'm sure those are things that we discussed at TESCO.
And Okay, right now we also have another person who has indicated interest in asking a question. His identity is Jagaban, but he hasn't changed that name yet. But it would have been much more better if changes so that we can be able to address it better. Jagaban.
Thanks for recognizing me. And to be honest, I think I must congratulate Engineer Ono for Ogun for doing pretty justice to that enlightenment in that topic. I think the state must be lucky to have you. Having said that, I have certain clarification, and I will also seek the indulgence of everyone because I may have to, digress a bit. But one, the first, what is likely to be the relationship between the bureau and the MDAs regarding bidding process? Because I know that each of the MDAs will have what they want to be procured. So that is one. Then two, probably you or any of the HCs can attend here because I am beginning to have this sense of the state is actually trying to have an platform, which means that wanting to do business unusual in a way. If that is the case, what is the state's plan in integrating those of us in diaspora into this global state plan? Because if you are bringing up the SMEs and you are coming up with different stuff like this, I want to believe that those in diaspora will have a fantastic role play in taking the states to the next level. I haven't said that directly to Engineer Onofoko. I saw that you have, when you were talking about the board, I wouldn't know if there is also provision for those in diaspora to partake in this particular area, because I'm looking at expertise and collective.
Thank you so much.
I have one more question. I can quickly.
Okay, go ahead.
The last question, because I see that you hammer so much on transparency, and we know that the BPE or BPP, whichever it's being used now, we know that in the past, sorry, we know that in the past, one of the greatest challenges we have had is the issue of transparency. A lot have fallen because of that. How are we going to ensure that this time around, politicians will not hijack the process? At the beginning, it's always like this. But when it comes to implementation, you discover that politicians will take over the process. That is when you now discover that, oh, we need to settle those who voted us in and stuff like that. So how are we going to ensure that it's going to be like that again? Thanks so much, and I really, really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you so much. We appreciate take the response from Engineer Onofoko.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Jagaba. Hello. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Jagaban, for those questions. Like I said during my presentation, the relationship between the MDAs and the Bureau is clear. There is no conflict. There is no one person overtaking the job of the other. What the Bureau is going to be doing is to set guidelines. And by guidelines, I mean that, yes, we know that procurement process, there will be shopping, there will be national competitive bidding or state competitive bidding, there will be international competitive bidding. It's going to, that's for works, goods, and goods. So there'll be services with all those processes under that. What the bureau will be doing is, yes, if you want to do a shopping, what classifies or what differentiates shopping process from a state competitive bidding, for an example. So the bureau will set the threshold, will do the document that will be adopted by all. What we mean by that, should you be doing an NCB contract in the Ministry of Works to say that, yes, and Ministry of Health is doing the same thing, the bureau will make sure that, yes, the process for an NCB procedure is the same, and the contracts are within the agreed threshold, so there will be equal opportunity for all. So there is no conflict of interest at all. It's basically going to be an oversight functions on the MDA to say that, yes, the process is transparent, and there is accountability, and state funds are used judiciously, and it's what we really need that we're spending our money on. Also, you said about how to integrate diaspora companies. I'll leave that to the Honorable Commissioner to answer. You're saying that on the council, because what I've mentioned is the council and not the board, would people in diaspora, because of the experience, be allowed in? I'm sure the Honorable Commissioner is listening to us. That will also be considered. And should we see, yes, our own people that are abroad or are in diaspora that would think, yes, the expertise can be sought. It's going to be an equal opportunity for Honorable Commissioner to talk on that. Yes, you also said that transparency. Like we said, this is a process that is well spelled out, and there'll be complaints procedures. The era of, yes, I submitted a bid, and who actually got the contract, I don't know, is gone. Once you partake in a bidding process, you are enjoined to make sure that, yes, you follow through. Don't just drop your bid. When you come to the bid opening, at that point, the bid of all of those who has purchased or procured the documents will be open for everybody to see. And at that point, the contract price or the proposed price will be read out for us to know. So it's not a case that I don't even know how many of us are competing. And what Mr. A quotes, should you take interest, you have your pen and paper to write it down, and there'll be transparency. I'm also saying that even up until the point of our award, everybody would be called to say that, yes, in response to the bid which you submitted, this is how we have gone through it, and this is who we have adjudged to be the successful bidder. And we also said that you, as competitor who has procured the bid, should you feel aggrieved, you are not to stop at that debriefing point. You can pick your pen and paper and write. So transparency is assured. The era of contracts to favor for politicians or a particular sector of people is gone. It's an equal opportunity for all that is inclusive and not exclusive. Thank you.
Of course, right now, wonderful response there from Engineer Tomi Onofowokan. Quickly, we'll take the response from the Honorable State Commissioner for Budget and Planning, Mr. Olaolu Olabinton, FC. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Engineer Onofowokan, for that beautiful presentation. Thank you, our distinguished participants. I took notice of all the questions, but I did miss one question. There was a question that was asked, and I think that was the second person to ask the question. And Mr. Onofowokan said he would refer that to the commissioner. So I don't know if you want to repeat that question before I continue.
Yeah, the question was from Mr. Kehinde Shogule, and I think he said that how is the state disbursing or giving out the palliatives given to the state by the federal government to the community, to the indigenous of the states? That was the question, Mr. Kehinde Shogule. Okay, so the question is on palliatives. Okay, thank you. All right, so let me attempt to answer the question. The first question was whether close relations could take part in the procurement process. And well, Engineer Onofowokan already answered that. We discourage close relations from taking part in procurement processes, basically because of conflict of interest issues. However,
just like he has said, it will also be wrong to say your close relation cannot take part simply because it's your family. And so what will then happen is that it has to be fully disclosed. But the way it is going to run, just like the speaker has said, it's a basic principle of open competitive bidding. So the way it's going to run is you won't even have any advantage by being my close relative. You won't. Because if you are my close relative and you don't have your NSITF papers, or you don't have your tax clearance, and you don't have all of those, you won't even go past the first level. If you're a politician and you don't have all those, you won't even go past the first level. So it's not going to come into play at all. We will discourage it, but where it is done, you need to disclose it, but you don't get any advantage from that. Now, the issue of the palliatives, I'm sorry, that we will not discuss at this forum. This forum is meant for procurement and how we can enable SMEs to participate further in procurement. If you wish to have more information on that, I would suggest that you please contact the Ministry of Special Duties. They were in charge of that at that time. Now, the relationship between the Bureau of Public Procurement and the MDAs, Mr. Ogun has, explained that. So it will basically be guidelines, issuance of guidelines. It will be oversight of the procurement process, and then monitoring of the process. Of course, they would also be in the forefront of policy setting and policy reviews. The Jagaban, I don't know whether it's Jagaban of Abeokuta or Zaria. Jagaban asked what plan we have to integrate the diaspora. Well, for me, this issue just sounds like the issue that was raised last week when somebody in Abuja was asking how they can be incorporated into this and what have you. Like I said, this is open competitive bidding, and we have said our advertisements will go out first on the website. Jagaban of Manchester, all right. You are quite recognized. So your location in terms of access would not matter. The issue is your capability to win the bid from diaspora. So something as simple as supply of paper. The man in Kuto will definitely be more competitive than the man in Abuja, and definitely more competitive than the man in Manchester. So I honestly want to incorporate you, but you may not win, because when we come to the price, if you have to fly your own in all the way from Abuja or Manchester, you may be disadvantaged. So what I say to people in diaspora and to people in faraway places is, maybe you want to set up a branch within our locality and see how you will be structured so that you will provide excellent service at competitive prices. And then we'll all be happy. By next year, we're going to go full blast on our e-procurement model, which will mean beyond seeing the bid on the website, the entire process will be done online. You submit your bid online. We will do an electronic meeting like this to open the bids and what have you. So we assure you that we want to integrate everybody, no matter where you are, but you then have to be properly structured and positioned so that you can be competitive. Now, in terms of having those in diaspora on the board and how you can be used, the law does not allow us to have somebody who is not on ground, for us to use on a full-time basis. But we also recognize the usefulness of resources, and present-day technology allows us to be able to use you at least on a consultancy basis, no matter where you are. So in terms of being able to tap into expertise, your location may not matter. We can send you, you can see the request for proposal for consultancy services, and you can respond. And you can work offline and, send us your advice. We can hold meetings, virtually and all that. So we intend to do all that. By the way, we're already doing a few of that. Having experts who are not physically present here, but for whom we're able to, work together. Currently, we're even getting a lot of assistance from the World Bank, Nigerian Governors Forum, federal government, and we all sit in our offices. I'm going to be attending a meeting in the next few minutes, and all state commissioners nationwide will be on that meeting. And we won't all leave our offices. So I can assure you that we have great plans of carrying everybody on board. And we hope that we can continue this, communication with you, so that we can move on. Now, somebody also talked about transparency and about how we have seen BPPs start well, only for the process to be hijacked by politicians. I just would tell you categorically that there's a new sheriff in BPPs in the past. You well know that this is the first time that we are setting up the BPP in Ogun State. So indeed, Ogun State is not a place where BPP was done in the past and it was done well. This is our first time. So we'll say to you, this is a different dispensation. By the way, this law was first promulgated in 2014. And so we are committed. We're committed to good governance, and we are committed to
while we wait for
coming to you as well in good faith, and we assure you that we will not fail you. This process, we intend to make it work. So on that note, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that has participated today. Thank you so very much. We hope that you've learned how to come on board on this new procurement process. We would enjoin you to please continue to be in touch with us, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, and then the Ministry of Budget and Planning. Thank you to participants. Thank you, HCITI. Thank you, the permanent secretaries in the House, and all government officials. Thank you, and God bless you. Sure.
Of course, it's great to be back right here. We apologize for the technical glitch which we had. Technology, of course, at times behaves this way, but the message is actually very, very clear. And the message is, it's the dawn of a new era in Ogun State. As an SME, you actually have an opportunity. That opportunity assures you, you've got transparency, the process is transparent, and of course, this is the time for you to arise and be a part of it, be a part of the drive in Ogun State. So, like the Honorable Commissioners have said, contact the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, and of course, contact the Ministry of Budget and Planning. They will actually guide you on the necessary things you need to do. And of course, be rest assured, you will be on the right path if you do so. Now, of course, we also know if you have more questions, just keep dropping them. Be rest assured, that's why we got your emails. We'll send you responses via email as well. And of course, for those who want copies of this particular training, definitely you'll get it as well via email. Now, to bring everything to a close, we'll take the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Okay, while we wait for the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, let me continue by stating that we'll need to continue to contact the two ministries, and of course, the ministries will guide you right on what you have to do. This is the actions of the Prince Dapo Abiodun administration. It's no more business as usual. It's in dawn of a new era. So be a part of the moving train, and of course, help yourself, help your business, help the state to also grow. Thank you so much. We'll take the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as we close the training program today. Your eyes. Thank you so much. And that's it. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon.